ride to the port, another port, and then a boat over to Bali. But from what I've heard, Lombok has taken a significant amount of damage, so there's not much that people can do in Lombok.
And that was British tourist Jake Clarkson on the island of Gili Trawangan. Coming up, we'll have more from New Zealanders in Indonesia. The Retirement Commissioner warns of a looming housing crisis for pensioners as home ownership rates decline. And a 15-year-old from Auckland's Avondale College is crowned the world's PowerPoint champion. We'd love your feedback. Don't forget you can text us on 2101 and you can tweet us at CheckpointRNZ. Facebook us Checkpoint with John Campbell or email checkpoint@radionz.co.nz. But first, here's Katrina Batten with the headlines.
Serial rapist Malcolm Rewa is to stand trial next February for a third time for the rape and murder of Susan Burdett in 1992. The Chief High Court Judge, Justice Venning, said it was in the interests of justice that the trial proceed. Rewa is currently serving preventive detention with a minimum non-parole period of 22 years for rape and other offending against 25 women. At least 91 people have died in last night's massive earthquake in Indonesia. Tourists and residents fled screaming as buildings shook in the quake, which struck at a depth of 10 kilometres. Search and rescue operations throughout the night were hampered by power cuts over most of Lombok Island. And a New Zealander, Rosalie Dobson, who lives in Kuta on the south coast, says the latest quake was much worse than last week's. A woman jogger was badly injured and terrified after being attacked by an overprotective cow in Auckland's Totara Park last night. The cow and her calf have now been sent to the slaughterhouse. A witness says he heard the woman screaming and ran to help her. A man who stood between her and the cows was knocked over and also badly injured. The Education Ministry is standing by its contracting processes, despite builders complaining that it's unfair. Contractors say they are avoiding some government contracts because they're too onerous with long payment terms. But the Ministry says only a fifth of its contracts take more than 30 days and it pays its biggest contractors within a week. The Treasury is warning the slump in business confidence and a cooling housing market could hit the government's books. In its update on the economy for July, the agency says there is a risk that growth may be weaker than forecast in May's budget. And police are appealing for information about suspected match fixing in a recent National Basketball League game. Basketball New Zealand contacted authorities last week with concerns about suspicious betting activity linked to the game. Those are the headlines. I'm back at 6.
Kia ora, Katrina. Turning to business news now with Nona Peltier. Hello, Nona. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Good to be back.
Very good. Rural services firm PGG Wrightson is selling its seeds business to a Denmark-based company. What's the deal?
Well, it's an interesting one. They're getting quite a good... They've had some interest in their seeds company for a while. They did a review of the business and they had they've had a few offers, but this one really was a standout. $421 million for that business. And the name will be retained, so that helps with their branding as well. It allows for that business to expand so PGG is pretty happy about that. $421 million. That's a lot more money than they thought they might get for it, and that means that there will be some surplus cash that could be returned to shareholders, or perhaps reinvested for some other opportunities for PGG. And that could be as much as $292 million extra cash sitting there, sloshing around in their books. And part of the deal is that the business, this is DLF Seeds, that's the company that wants to buy it, they're going to also cover $18 million of debt that particular business is holding. So it's a pretty good deal for the company. They're excited about it. And so it looked like the market was excited about it as well. That share price rose about 8% today. That's 5 cents up to 69 cents. So, yeah, interesting days for PGG.
Now, the earnings season is kicking off this week, so what can investors expect?
Well, it's the big earnings season. You might remember that. Your days as a business reporter.
I do.
This is the month that we run off our feet with reporting. So first off the ranks is going to be Sky City. That's the big company to report this week. It's not just that one. Property for Industry will also be reporting on Wednesday. That's when it really kicks off. But there's about 40 companies that are going to report over the next few weeks. It's going to be quite crazy. And what are the market? The market overall is expecting subdued earnings. There's been a lot of we heard just recently, just in the news just a few minutes ago, that the housing sector downturn is going to have some effect on some of the companies. For example, the retirement villages, you know, there's a number of them. There's Ryman, there's Somerset, Arvida. There may be some impact there simply because the housing market is slowing down. So maybe people are going to delay moving into these retirement villages. It's going to be interesting to see. The construction sector, we've already seen how they've been impacted by the construction sector generally. There's a number of companies that will be reporting there. Of course, Fletcher Building is one of them. Export companies, on the upside, the lower value of the New Zealand dollar could be a benefit to some of them. There's a lot of them anyways, and one of the things that the analysts will be looking at is not so much the numbers, because there's a lot of disclosure that we have in the market now, so there won't be too many surprises, although one of the ones that may surprise us is Freightways. You know, there's been a lot of coverage, as you know, on Checkpoint about courier drivers and that, and there could be some additional costs that Freightways are going to either, you know, have absorbed or disclose or in the offing there. We could expect to see that.
And so who's up first? SkyCity?
SkyCity, but there's some 40 companies, and you know, some of the big names, Air New Zealand's one. Now, not only will Freightways perhaps have some costs associated with some worker issues there, fuel costs are going to have some impact on their bottom line potentially, as well as Air New Zealand. Now, Air New Zealand, this could be not just this financial year, but coming into the next financial year. So we're already in the FY19 financial year because the books closed on June 30. So yes, we may see some additional comment there. That's what the analysts are going to be looking at, what kinds of things are being flagged ahead. Other big companies to report, of course, Auckland Airport's one. I guess we mentioned the property companies, and there's quite a few of them. And then there's the energy sector. There's Mercury, there's Meridian, and Vector's another lines company. Later on, we're also going to hear from Fonterra. They're going to be reporting in September, so these are companies that have the July 31st balance date. Yeah, it's going to be a busy, busy old time.
Okay, so that's from this Wednesday.
Yeah, this Wednesday, and we can expect that to run right through into September. So pretty busy time.
And Nona, what happened on the markets today?
Well, the market was not bad. Now, look, there's been a number of unsettling comments going through the tit-for-tat trade with the United States and China. That's unsettling the markets in Asia, but we saw at the end of last week some downturn. Now things have picked up a little bit. Our index, it rose 0.4% today. That's 39 points to 8,903. We're seeing a bit of mixed reaction in the Asian markets, but you can expect to see a lot of volatility continuing there. Our dollar is trading at 67.4 US cents, 91.2 Australian, and 51.9 pence.
Thank you very much, Nona. That's our business reporter, Nona Peltier.